Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through maybe some of the noise of modern self-help. We're traveling back, well, several thousand years, really, to look at one of the most, I guess, powerful texts on liberation ever recorded, the Ashtavakra Gita.
Right. And our sources, they're excerpts from this ancient dialogue. It's between King Janaka, who was known for his wisdom, and his guru, Ashtavakra.
And what's fascinating is what Janaka doesn't ask for.
Yeah.
You'd think a king might want military secrets or maybe economic advice.
Exactly. But no, he asks for the blueprint to, well, the ultimate spiritual goals. Knowledge, which is jnana, liberation, mukti, and crucially, the starting point. Complete desirelessness.
Desirelessness.
And what makes this so relevant, I think, for you listening is that Janaka immediately names the enemy. He says the big obstacle is ava.
Ava.
Yeah. Now, it often gets translated just as greed, but it's more than that. It's that really overwhelming sort of persistent craving, the kind of excessive desire that ends up dictating your actions, your thoughts. And Janaka says this, Ava, it actively blocks what he calls the door of the gate of satisfaction. Basically, this inner doorway to contentment.
So it's a literal blockade.
It is, and it prevents us from ever reaching that stable state of mukti, complete liberation. So our mission today is really to unpack Ashtavakra's pretty radical plan. It's got two main parts. The ethical foundation you need, and then the surprising mental mechanics for conserving your actual life energy.
Right. Sounds intense. So let's start with that foundation. Janaka asks for liberation, mukti. What's Ashtavakra's immediate response? It's not meditation, is it?
No, not right away. He starts with a command that demands, well, immediate rejection on one hand and deep cultivation on the other. It's quite stark, actually.
Okay.
Ashtavakra tells Janaka, look, if you really want liberation, you have to reject all worldly objects, sensory pleasures, the Vishayangalai, and not just reject them, but treat them like poison.
Wow. Like poison. Not just, try to cut back a bit.
Exactly. Nanjina Salu, reject it like poison. It's treating that external gratification as a serious, almost life-threatening danger to your spiritual path.
That language is incredibly strong. Why so absolute right from the start? Isn't there, usually room for gradual detachment in these things?
Well, the text seems pretty clear on this. For the ultimate goal, mukti, there's just no compromise allowed on this foundation. The commitment has to be total. It's like if you keep sipping the poison even a little bit, you're never going to truly prioritize finding the cure.
Okay, that makes sense. You can't halfway renounce poison.
Right. So this rejection, it clears the ground. And that makes room for cultivating 5 essential virtues. Things you have to actively nurture and protect, or pain.
What are they?
The core 5 are patience, poromai, truthfulness, vaimai, honesty or integrity, mermai, compassion, kindness, dayai, and stable contentment or satisfaction, thirupti.
I see. So you build this ethical structure first. You get deeply rooted in things like honesty and contentment, and that basically stops that craving ava from finding fertile ground again.
Precisely.
But okay, once that ethical floor is down, the text seems to shift pretty quickly. It moves from behavior to some really radical internal work.
Yeah.
What's that first kind of counterintuitive step Ashtavakra talks about for achieving inner peace?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. He clarifies that for mukti to even be possible, the desire for it has to fill your operational intellect, your yaka arivai, with profound peace, paramathi.
The desire itself brings peace?
Yes, that deep longing for liberation, when it's pure, becomes peaceful. And that peace is the catalyst, the thing that dissolves all the karmic residue, the karma ganangal. But then comes the really radical part, the instruction that frankly runs counter to a lot of modern thinking. Ashtavakra insists that the first, most essential step is recognizing that all arising thoughts in Nangal are also a form of deadly poison. Kodiya Visham.
Wait, hold on. All thoughts.
Right.
Every single one. That seems extreme. It goes against almost everything we hear today about processing emotions, analyzing thoughts, journaling.
It does seem that way on the surface, but it's about the attachment to the thoughts. He's not necessarily saying analysis itself is bad in all contexts, but for this specific goal of liberation, getting caught up in the stream of thoughts is the poison.
Ah, okay. So it's not the thought content necessarily, but the act of latching onto it.
Exactly. The goal is to avoid that attachment, pinaipu kolamo vilaji, to see thoughts for what they are, just flickering energy, not your core self. If you spend all your time analyzing and engaging with that stream, you're basically just playing in the noise, not finding the silence.
So the aim isn't literally to stop thinking, which, feels impossible, but to stop getting tangled up in the thoughts. to just observe them and let them go, realizing they don't have inherent power.
That's it precisely. The practice is to persistently train the mind, habituate it towards quietude and solitude, the nayamal, to reach a state without constant thought engagement and nangalatranulaika. This quiet space is where that profound peace can actually arise and do its work.
Okay, conceptually, I'm starting to get it. But practically, how? How do you actually achieve that kind of thoughtless quietude? Because just telling yourself, don't think, is famously counterproductive.
Right. And Ashtavakra acknowledges this requires absolute truthfulness, unnamaya, then mai, within the effort itself. You can't fake it. And this is where he drops some really fascinating details about the mechanics of the mind and energy.
The mechanics. Okay, let's dig into that.
So Ashtavakra doesn't view the mind, the manam, as just this abstract cognitive thing. He explains it's actually created by something called jivakanta energy, jivakanta idral.
Jivakanta energy, like a specific life force energy for the mind.
Exactly. Think of it as fundamental life-mind energy.
Yeah.
And crucially, this energy is generated directly by the operation, the iyakam, the movement of your core life force itself, the urin.
Ah, okay, so the mind isn't some separate engine running on its own fuel. It's drawing energy directly from our basic life force.
That's the model presented here, yes.
So if the mind is an energy construct, is it vulnerable? Like, can that energy leak or be drained?
That's precisely the issue. It's like a battery that's constantly in danger of being drained. And the primary drain, the external sensory world. Ashtavakra gives a very specific definition of true integrity, Miramai, in this context.
Integrity as energy protection.
Yes. His instruction on discipline, Shukaneri, is that true integrity is the act of carefully protecting kavanamaga padukathu, your mind energy from being, and this is the word used, stolen.
Stolen, but what?
By what the text calls pura anupava and angal. These are the external experience thoughts generated by your senses. You see something appealing, you smell something that triggers a memory, you hear something that sparks desire. Each one pulls on that jivakanta energy. It gets diverted outwards.
Wow. So every time I react to something outside, every time I get lost in a thought about some sensory experience, that's my core mental energy be siphoned off, stolen, as he puts it.
That's the concept, yes. The senses are like constant little thieves, and our thoughts about those external experiences are the loot they're escaping with, draining our fundamental life-mind energy reserve.
And integrity, then, isn't just about being honest with others. It's this conscious act of stopping that internal energy theft.
Exactly right. True integrity, what he calls the integrity of humaneness, Manathanathan Nirmai, is defined specifically as the action of redirecting that mental energy back towards the operation of the life force itself. Uirin Yakatirke.
Why the integrity of humaneness? What's the connection?
Because the implication is, if your energy is constantly being drained away by external cravings, distractions, sense chasing, you never actually realize your full human potential. You never tap into the depth of your own life knowledge. Protecting that energy is upholding your essential humanness.
That completely reframes morality. It's not just external rules. It's about internal energy management, conservation.
Yeah.
So, okay, if you manage this, if you successfully practice this integrity, stop the leaks, redirect the energy, what's the payoff? What happens then?
Well, the text says that when that mental energy is consistently channeled back inwards, back to the life force's operation, and importantly, not wasted through needless words, unnecessary actions, or those wandering thoughts, then the life force's wealth increases. Its power, its Uyir Shaktian Balam grows stronger.
More inner wealth, like a spiritual bank account filling up.
Something like that. And this conservation, this increase, directly expands the power of your life knowledge. Uyir Riven Etrel. It leads to what's described quite poetically as a superior life feeling. Uyir Unatha Anorve.
A superior life feeling. That sounds powerful, certainly. But does it just make you feel good inside, kind of isolated? Or does it change how you interact with the world, with others?
Oh, it absolutely changes your interactions. It fundamentally transforms the quality of your love, Honorable.
Oh, so?
Because this enhanced life feeling, this superior state, means your love is no longer tied primarily to the body's needs or the mind's calculations, what the text calls then anal or self-interest. It transcends that.
Right.
The love that arises now is connected directly to the fundamental life essence, Urdhamai itself. When you're filled with this conserved, potent life energy, it just naturally overflows. It connects with and showers love upon all living beings, not just yourself or your immediate circle.
Ah, I see.
And this is how that fifth virtue we started with, compassion or kindness, Dayavu naturally flourishes. Thalathongam, it reaches its highest expression. The internal discipline directly fuels selfless, expansive, external compassion. It's not force, it's the natural result.
That's quite a journey. It's remarkable. We started with these seemingly simple ethical rules, the 5 virtues. Then we dove into this really radical mental discipline, rejecting thoughts as poison.
Right.
Then we got the technical explanation, the Jivakantha energy, showing how to achieve that quietude through energy protection. And now we've looped right back around to find that the result of all that inner work is this spontaneous, overflowing compassion.
That captures the arc perfectly. And Ashtavakra adds a final piece for stability. To sustain that peace, the peace attained in that deep, quiet, focused state, the akna anarval or agna feeling, you have to continuously keep those foundational virtues glowing brightly. Patience, truthfulness, honesty, compassion, make them angioli archaea vendum, shine forth.
So the virtues aren't just the starting point, they're also the ongoing maintenance.
Exactly. And the absolute key, the linchpin for remaining stable in that liberated state, is diligently maintaining and preserving stable contentment nilayana therapti. You have to guard that inner satisfaction fiercely through what's called thava anarval, which is like ascetic contemplation or awareness.
Guarding contentment.
Yes. Only when that unwavering satisfaction is truly preserved and stable will the desired liberation finally stabilize within you, anil nalaikum. It fills you with knowledge, Nana, and then begins a life lived in complete detachment, patatra nilayo. The whole path moves from that initial external rejection to deep internal energy conservation, which then flowers into boundless external compassion and stable inner peace.
What a potent, incredibly demanding path King Janaka was shown. It's elegant, but definitely challenging. The core lesson seems to be that liberation isn't just about being good in a conventional sense.
No, it's much deeper.
It requires this intense mental and energetic discipline. Treating thoughts as potential energy drains, actively protecting your core life-mind energy, and redirecting it inwards.
That's the essence of it.
So let's leave you, our listener, with maybe a final thought to chew on based on these sources. If we take this idea seriously, that the mind is this jivakantha energy constantly at risk of being stolen by thoughts about external experiences, just consider for a moment how many of your own daily mental actions feel truly self-directed versus how many might be, in Ashtavakra's terms, a kind of hijacking of your fundamental life energy by outside triggers. Which parts of your day are still driven by that old craving, that ava, and what might it actually look like, feel like, to begin diligently protecting that energy, maybe starting today?